try that again. 1, 2, 3. Let me check. There we go. We're on screen. Awesome. So we're live. This time's the live rundown. Very happy to be here in this call with our Scroll community. Very gratefully joined by Sandy. How are you, Sandy?
Good. Good to be here. How's it going, Juan?
It's all great. It's all great. Waiting out on Ye. He's gonna be here in just a minute. But yeah, a lot of exciting news happening for Scroll lately. It's just announcement after announcement after announcement. But the main announcement of the week being the launch of SCR, and we've heard our community, and we wanted to address some of those major questions that are still not clear or that our community wants more clarification on. And who better to give us more insight on this whole process of this launch than leadership itself, who has done an amazing job, at least internally, to bring more context to us. And we've decided to make this call to bring that same context to our whole community. So yeah, Sandy, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go. I hope you guys
Awesome.
can bring a lot of energy and bring a lot of questions to this AMA. We'll be doing this a little bit more frequently. I think previously we've been sort of just heads down building, and but communicating with the community is obviously super, super important. And now at this critical juncture, we want to be here to be more transparent and communicate a lot more proactively.
Awesome. Great. So let's start it off with getting some like overview insights of what was this launch, right? So it has been a little bit over a year since we launched mainnet, and um, it, this was like the inherent next step, right? So tell us more of what this means for Scroll, launch of SCR.
Yeah. So SCR is the scroll token, and the reason for launching it is partially just on the outsets, right? We've been running our mainnet for about a year now. So we launched our mainnet on the 10th of October last year, which is almost exactly 1 year ago. And during this period, we've had a ton of support from the community, and a lot of people testing and then deploying contracts on our mainnet. And we've been working really hard on growing the community. So this is part of the effort to give thanks to our community and retroactively reward a lot of the on-chain activity, behavior, and also to kind of use this kind of process as a jump start to the next stage of our growth. So a lot of our decisions are centered around the goal of decentralization and getting more distribution from our growth bucket, and also retroactively giving thanks to everybody who supported us so far.
Awesome. And I mean, our community has definitely grown, and we've been everywhere really through this year. It was very exciting to see that blog post about Scroll's vision, and me working that community work stream is very, very exciting for someone like me to actually see Scroll putting um, their actions where their mouth is. And we've come to support so many communities all around the world. And very happy to see these next steps favoring that global outreach. Yeah. So, yeah, tell us more a little bit of what does it mean? Why is it so important for Scroll to have launch with this sort of alliance and partnership with the Binance team?
Uh, so I think it's important to dispel a lot of the misconceptions that are coming from the community. So it'll be great if we can aggregate some of the most common feedback and address them very directly. So first of all, the pool that we have assigned to Binance is from our growth bucket. So there is a 15% airdrop bucket for our community that is completely separate. And the goal of our community airdrop is separate from the growth budget. And the growth budget is about onboarding net new users, and some of the designs around pre-market and airdrop snapshot date, which seems a little bit unconventional, But the reason that we are making these changes is because we want to make sure there is wider distribution, and also we want to make sure that the kind of the high FDV mechanisms don't really kind of continue going forward. So a lot of these mechanisms are designed for distribution, and two is designed for making sure that the wider community can have access to these tokens and can buy in at a reasonable price so that there's more upside later. There's a lot of confusion about how this is like designed for whales. That is categorically not true. So there is a per hour cap on the launch pool mechanism. So it doesn't matter how much money you put into the launch pool. So even if you have 100 mil or $1 billion, your chance of getting SCR, the scroll token allocation to the launch pool, is very very fair, and you're not getting like more allocation pro rata based on how much money you have. Second of all, right now, I think people are sensitive to the pre-market price on Binance. The kind of like buying cap, which is enforced at I think somewhere around like 2,500 SCR, is meant to make sure during this period there is like wider distribution. It just means like all these accusations about whales and how we favor whales, it's just categorically not true, because whales cannot get any more access or doesn't have another cap than before. So so I think a lot of these designs is due to the fact that we're trying out a new distribution mechanism. It might work, it might not work, but the intention is to make sure that we do well by our community and also do well by the new community that's going to come in. The number of people who are familiar with how to navigate the on-chain LP and navigate various ecosystem projects is relatively limited. We've been kind of studying a lot of the on-chain activities, and I think most of you who have been active on our ecosystem have probably not probably are categorically very very crypto savvy, and have been in this cycle through various kind of like mechanism to kind of to test out nascent technology. And so I think we definitely want to make sure more people can try their hands on this nascent tech. And I think the fact that we have a working type 2 ZK EVM is a pretty special thing, and we're the only working type 2 ZK EVM. And now I think is a very good time for us as a community holistically to try and go after bigger markets and go after distribution.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Let's bring in here, yeah. He's ready with us. Hey, yeah, how you doing?
Good, good. So sorry I'm a few minutes late, and yeah.
No worries. I'm always happy to see you. I really am. It fills me with joy. Awesome. I don't know if you want to add anything on that question. I know you were listening on there, but just Sandy was talking about the launch of SCR alongside Binance.
Yeah. I think Sandy mentioned most of the kind of like rationale for kind of increase the global distribution. And something add to this is like, because what we are building is a chain with ecosystem with users, and this has been a demand for kind of Binance on ramp and off ramp, especially for stable coins, and no other ZK layer 2 together support right now. So we want to break this and like trying to kind of really open this channel for a lot of ecosystem project and the users, especially for the regions we want to reach to. So it's very, very crucial, and for a chain to kind of get very strong support. And I think one actually maybe successful example in the past is like, I think a long time ago when Tron firstly launched, and it gets a lot of like, it subsidized basically all the central exchange withdrawal to zero. And then like a lot of people start moving their USDT around the Tron's kind of like chain, and then later there are stronger and stronger network effect built on top. So it's very, very still very crucial kind of in a lot of places that central exchange is a major way for them to kind of on-ramp and off-ramp, and we want to bring that user on-chain, bring global user on-chain. So that's the biggest intention for like why we want to do this, and like in this period of time. Like, like another, like, if you kind of like look, right, there are two paths. One is that you get a very strong certainty for a lot of other support, more than just listing. And the other is like, we can still launch, and there's still high possibility that we can be listed directly, but other support will be delayed for 6 months, 1 year, and which will miss the really valuable growth window. And so that's why we make this decision for like bringing Binance users and like into this ecosystem.
Awesome. Well, and I myself can speak firsthand of how important this sort of support is for a region like LATAM and how it will unlock our efforts. For the past year, we've been doing so many activities, and I think the last milestone to unlock support for these communities and builders out there was on off-ramp support. So I think this is a great step in the right direction to support our builders and people where they're at and with their real needs, right? And I think it has proven to be working. So far, there's been over 1.6 million people who has had some contact with the SCR token through that launch pool. So we have definitely seen that there is a global distribution happening, and it also is noticeable in our community. More people asking about to learn more about what is Scroll, finding out about our ecosystem, etc. So I think the goals there are for long-term games, and I myself from the LATAM region appreciate that initiative. Great. So let's talk a little bit more here about the use cases and what do we expect SCR to be used for in the short term. So Sandy, want to tell us a little bit more around that angle?
Yeah, sure. I think Toggle has recently published an article about tokens value accrual. So in the first instance, the token is a way to distribute ownership of the network and making sure that our community has who has helped us grow so far gets a realistic kind of a share of this really great product that we've been building for the last 2 years. And the second goal is that this is also the place that we try to kick off some governance, so that when people are have a voice, there's a way for the community to be heard and represented in a public forum. That's the second goal. And then going forward, we have a lot more in the planning where the SCR token will be used by various means. But in the first instance, we're starting with a design that is relatively vanilla and very well known within the blockchain ecosystem. So nothing super unusual for the first instance. And I'm seeing a lot of the comments. I'm just going to pick up some comments and address them directly. So there is a common misconception that we jack up gas prices for whatever reason. The reason gas prices was relatively high at the beginning is because ZK rollups, the prover cost, and we contribute a lot of sequencer costs back to Ethereum. And this is a design mechanism that we have made intentionally to optimize for finality. And we are a category winner in the finality segment. That means everyone can come in to Scroll and then withdraw with the fastest amount of time. And that gives people optionality as they move in and out of different ecosystems. And this is kind of a technical experimentation, and which we're very, very proud of. This doesn't mean that we jacked up the prices artificially for any means. And then we are one of the biggest contributor of gas fees to Ethereum, and this goes towards incentivizing stakers, and that in turn enables Ethereum to maintain its decentralized network that provides the security for L2. I'm just trying to pick up some other comments. Maybe Juan, you can help me synthesize. I'm glad there's like a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of comments, but I'm trying to pick out the most frequent ones to answer.
Energy is definitely high. Energy is definitely high.
Energy is very, very high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is good, which is good. But while we like skim through these, yeah, you want to give us some thoughts about those use cases, decentralization, any of your expectations of how SCR will be used. For example, I'm just going to throw one out there: had a call with one of the NFT campaigns that are going to be launching in Scroll soon, the monsters, and the fact they mentioned, I didn't realize that, but imagine like buying those NFTs with SCR token. That'll be pretty neat. So yeah, there's definitely more use cases than just governance out there that we can explore. But yeah, give us your thoughts.
Yeah. I think for like what Sandy already mentioned, like, we recently had, this kind of publication on like how a layer 2 protocol should think about the revenue and in that process, because I think we mentioned like in our blog post that there are like some very valuable right Rob has, which is sequencing the block, and then like so the sequencer can get some revenue from like MEV, from like the base fee, prioritized fee, and like all those stuff. And it's also very important to kind of like have some incentive to kind of for the prover to kind of like make sure they are live. And I think those will be like used as protocol tokens to kind of be involved in how we decentralize prover, decentralize sequencer, and how we kind of like kind of tie this kind of like fees back to the tokens we have. That's part of the design in terms of the protocol design. And I think in the long term or even short term, we are working on like how can we make scroll chain become zero fee, and like whether you can kind of like maybe doing some staking for the token, and like you can use it kind of the whole chain for free, and which is a mechanism for kind of really bringing a lot of user and other ecosystem initiatives we are doing, and trying to collaborate with more partners to kind of like how we can eliminate this fee to be like nearly zero. As Sandy mentioned, like the fee is never like our biggest like it's only part of the story. We don't really trying to kind of like make this high, but because it's a ZK, so we make the trade-off to be it's a little bit more expensive, but it has extremely fast finality and extremely like high security, because any user, I think across all the chain, even right now, we are the chain that you can literally take your money back in like like 20 minutes. So which is an important trade-off for like you kind of like have to pay for a slightly higher fee. But we are making to kind of, we're working very hard to kind of make that matching OP's kind of like cost, and especially with our upcoming new prover, and it will be like massively reduced.
Okay. I think there's a lot of repeated questions about the snapshot date, so maybe I could address that. So I understand that most projects do a snapshot date that's months or weeks before TGE, and it is admittedly we are trying something new that's never been tried before, and so the impact is unknown. First off. The reason we're trying this out is because as we're reaching more users, we want to make sure. So statistically, there's a lot more centralized exchange users than there are on-chain users. So for people who are hearing about Scroll for the first time, we want to make sure that they are included. And because of the timing of which this is pretty short, and also we've seen previously a lot of complaints about the snapshot date being too far ahead of TGE, so people are missing out on that period between the snapshot date and actual TGE with the retroactive method. So we're trying to figure out a way where everyone is included. And but we're not perfect, and none of these things, how it works out, we don't know. But the difference, like compared to how long people have been, like a few days difference is, we don't think it's making a huge difference. And also we have session 2 coming. We have continuous incentive on chain for the latter half. I think the community tends to over focus on the first airdrop, where the uncertainty or the variance of the outcome is it's less certain, but maybe it's more exciting. But I would highly encourage everyone to focus more on the long run. And we have 15% airdrop air mark for the entire community, and that will be given in a way that is transparent and fully on chain. And so for anything that you guys are not super happy about, there's also an 8% coming very shortly to address some of these issues. So the second airdrop will have a lot more certainty, and the rules will be a lot clearer, and hopefully that can help you guys kind of make some of the make some of your decisions about where to put your assets on chain. I think for session 2, the incentives will be more geared towards DEX liquidity provision. I think for the first session 0 and session 1, we've been mainly kind of trying to be more neutral regarding what type of like DeFi projects that people want to stake on. But for the next session, I think what we learned from session 1 is very clearly that DEX liquidity yields like exponential impact on the entire community in terms of like utility and how useful it is, so that you can do swaps on L2. And so right now, none of the L2s can do like very, very large swaps, and we think that's a problem. And then so with session 2, that's going to be something that we will be focused on. So
Let's go a little bit deeper here on one of the biggest questions here that you've already sort of hinted towards. But one of the big questions here on the chat too is the snapshot date, and questions around why was it announced publicly, or why even the 19th? So you want to address this one?
yeah, do you want to address it, or I'm happy to?
Yeah, sure. I think the one of the biggest reason, like the initial intention for why we are doing this is like actually it's more being more like transparent about like which date, because I think people have been in the past complained that like because you have already been snapshot and we still like but you didn't tell us, and then there is a lot of like opportunity like in the last 1 month 2 months, like the capital is not really incentivized. And so that's one reason. And second reason is that because during this kind of pre-market and like this kind of like launch pool period of time, what we really want to do is really attracting global distribution and attract new users into the ecosystem. And we want to kind of like leverage the opportunity for them to also trying out what's the on-chain activity, and like what's a kind of like what's the user experience for using Scroll on chain. So that's the biggest motivation for more like using this period of time to acquire some new users. And as Sandy mentioned, this doesn't have a huge impact to previous airdrop because it won't be diluted that much. It's like very, very tiny, small portion. And so that's the biggest intention for being more transparent and like acquire more new users through this period of time to bring them on chain. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, I don't think the impact of this additional time is going to make any difference. And also, I think previously when projects do the snapshot date way before TGE has gotten a lot of complaints too. So we're trying to address some of the previous community complaints that we've learned from other projects.
Cool. And you, of course, already hinted towards future incentives. We will have a continued series of sessions, and we do have a designated airdrop allocation for future airdrops, which of course will also be treated with a lot of transparency, and will also be for the community, right? So I mean, people can rest assured in this aspect. Cool. And then we'll finish here just a little bit on what can people expect here on from like this SCR airdrop, on the details of the launch. So just gonna throw here a few quick facts about the airdrop itself. The airdrop snapshot day will be October 19th. So that means that all that on-chain activity will be counted on until October 19th, with the actual airdrop and token launch happening on October 22nd. More information about eligibility criteria, how to claim your tokens, etc., will be available closer to that October 22nd date. But with that in mind, any closing remarks of what can our community expect from what's to come for SCR and Scroll?
Great. So we will be announcing our criteria very soon, and so please watch out.
Awesome. Well, we will continue throwing out content out there. We have plans to continue interacting with the community in the next couple of weeks to make sure that we have positive vibes all over the Scroll ecosystem. And I really appreciate having you guys here. This means a lot for the Scroll community to have you guys forefront telling us what the context and insight of the Scroll airdrop has been. So I appreciate your company. Yeah, I appreciate your company, Sandy. As always, thank you to the community, and we'll stay in touch. Keep aware of news. Yeah, before I leave, that's really important. Please make sure that you only follow news from the Scroll main account, from our website. Our Discord server is absolutely secure. Don't fall on scams. Stay away from any bots. Please just stick to the news from our main accounts. Thank you, everybody, and have a nice rest of your weekend.
Thanks, guys.